Hello, it's Regina. Welcome back to my haunted library. So now we are into September and I'm longing for those cool fall days. Unfortunately, it's like 100 degrees in the shade here, but we'll get there. So I've been doing a lot of reading indoors in the air conditioning and also a lot of writing. So I thought I would just use this video to kind of get caught up on what I've been doing. And there's a stack of books sitting next to me for that purpose. So let's get started. So I read the first book of the Dark Shadows Gothic novelette series that I bought on eBay in a fit of madness. And then I found this version. It was either on eBay or 8 Books, and this one has a little bit of a different cover. It has an illustration. And this is by Marilyn Ross. Marilyn Ross was actually a man whose name was, it escapes me, but I'm going to write it somewhere. And he did a lot of writing of this type of Gothic novelettes, Gothic novels from the 60s and 70s under the name Marilyn Ross, but he had tons of other pen names, and he also wrote Westerns. So he was kind of what, I don't know, some people would say like a hack writer. I don't like that expression, but you know, he was a professional writer. That's how he made his living. And he's a damn good one because I really enjoyed this. And actually, it was a lot better than a lot of the other Gothic romance novels that I've read from this era. And of course, this is Dark Shadows, so I knew the characters, I was familiar with it. But this book gets into when Victoria Winters first arrives at Collingwood Mansion and she meets all the crazy people who live there. So I had no trouble following the visuals about what this looked like just from my knowledge of Dark Shadows. It actually follows a lot of the stuff that's in the House of Dark Shadows movie. So this was really good, and I look forward to reading more of these. So I have book 2, so I'm going to continue with the series when I feel like it. I also read a book by a Wattpad friend of mine named V. Lazada, and it's called To Be Obscure, and it's this kind of Gothic, kind of like a Gothic romance. I told her it really reminded me of Anne Rice, and I'm also reading Anne Rice right now, so I love that, and it was really good. I really encourage you guys to check out independent writers, people who are self-published, I mean, like myself, but not just me, tons of other writers who have been putting their works out there either on Wattpad or on Amazon or other sites like Smashwords and other things. And there are a lot of good writers out there. Don't always just go with the bestsellers. Check out some other work, and you can do that for free on Wattpad, and there's all kinds of lists, and you can follow the popular ones, or you can follow the obscure ones, or whatever you're interested in. You can go in there and choose a genre that you really like, and I really encourage you to do that. I've read some great stuff on there. Check out those independent writers. You won't be sorry. So next up, speaking of independent writers, I finished my book 2 of my young adult series, meaning that I put it in a print version. So now there are 2 of them. This is called The Witch of Long Shadows, book 2 of the Dark Hollow series. This is called The Ghost of Dark Hollow. We're going 1, 2. And I kind of like how they fit nicely together. Same designer, Consuelo Para. The third book I finished on Wattpad. It's called The Lord of Blackshire. And it's all part of the same series, same story, but it's just gotten more involved. So I finished that on Wattpad. You can read it. And then there's one more book in the series that I haven't started yet, but I've been thinking about it. So I guess that's kind of starting it. And I have a beautiful cover, all by Consuelo Para. So I've been doing that. So that's been fun. And speaking of Wattpad, I was really thrilled to see that one of my stories made it to the first cut of the Waddy Awards for 2018. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm crossing my fingers. Well, maybe I'll get one, but even if I don't, I was really thrilled to at least make the first cut. So that's pretty exciting. So I had a great year on Wattpad. Next up, I've been reading The Witching Hour by Anne Rice. And this is a very long book. It's about 1,000 pages, and I've actually read it before, and I'm reading it again. I'm about on page 300, so I got a ways to go. But I'm really getting into it. I just love this book. I wish someone would make a television series about it. It's so great. It really gets into this modern story that's happening. It all takes place in New Orleans and San Francisco, but then it goes back in time to Amsterdam and kind of traces the lineage of the Mayfair witches, and I'm right there. I am right there with it. This has been like a witchy summer for me, so I'm right in the spirit with this book. So I'll continue reading this. I did put Mr. Clive Barker down a little bit, but I'll go pick him up very soon. So I got The Witching Hour. I got a nice first edition of that. I love Anne Rice with her schoolgirl bangs on the back. I always felt like kind of an affinity to Anne Rice. I don't know. I feel like she would be someone, if I met her in real life, that I would love her. So just putting that out there. I do watch her videos on YouTube too. I think she's great. I think she's beautiful, and I love her whole persona and, you know, talent as a writer, obviously, but just like her whole deal. So naturally, after getting The Witching Hour, I had to find myself a nice hardback copy of Lasher, which is book 2 in the series. And I think the last time I read this, it was through library books. I didn't have the books. And then I also got a copy of Taltos, the 3rd book in the series. So these are going on my shelf, and they're nice. I found these all on eBay. Nice. Of course, they printed a lot of these, but they all have the dust jackets, and they're hardly been read. And they weigh a ton. So I got those. So next up, I was at the, we've got this little store near here called Ollie's. I don't know if you guys have Ollie's, but they're like, you know, kind of like discounted everything in there. So a lot of cheap stuff. Like if you're looking for, you know, lawn furniture around the pool, it's a great place to look. But they also have a huge book section. Now, most of the books there are Christian books. So who knew that there was this market for Christian romance books? So they all end up at Ollie's. But I did find Stephen King's Owen King, Sleeping Beauty's a novel. This is a more recent one. I have no idea what this book is about. I just love Stephen King. And so I picked this up. And I'll get to it someday. I have a lot of Stephen King on that shelf that I haven't read. And coming into the fall, I'm going to do something where I'm going to like read some books from my own shelves instead of always buying new books, because you know how that is. But speaking of buying new books, I did get some beautiful books as a little birthday present for myself. My birthday's in August, late August. I'm a Virgo, not a Leo. And Virgos love their books, and Virgos love to read. I don't know if you knew that, but that's one of our traits. Anyway, I got a nice leather-bound copy of H.P. Lovecraft. I think this is Tales of Horror. I'm not exactly sure what's in there, but this is a Barnes & Noble. No, Canterbury Classics. It's a beautiful book, and the cover is awesome. I'm going to try to do a close-up of that. It almost looks like it's sparkly. It has Cthulhu, I guess, on the cover. Then adding to my shelf of leather-bound classics, I got a beautiful copy of Jane Eyre. It's red leather with a moire silk end paper, I think it's called. This is Easton Press. I have quite a few of these Easton Press books, and you can find them on eBay. This is in good shape. This one, I think it was about $20, and lovely floral design. Really beautiful books. Some of these Easton Press books can be very expensive depending on if it's like a rare edition. This one wasn't that bad. And then I also got a copy of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and it also has the moire end paper, and it is also Easton Press, and they have these nice like illustrations of the author. So this I've read a few times, and I will read this again. I love classics, and the fall is a great time to read the classic works of Gothic literature, and I don't know, those things that just make you feel kind of cozy by the fire. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. So it felt like I really haven't done much, but when I put it all together, it looks like I've done a lot. So, so thanks for checking in, my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye.